Today we're going to talk about your digital portfolio. Regardless of which art class you have, you should be creating a digital portfolio submission for each assignment as the submission for proof of what you completed in each unit for that specific class. There should be a digital portfolio module you can reference. Here you can see I'm in the modules, which is the digital portfolio for the semester exam. It is at the very bottom of the modules, as the completion of the portfolio will conclude with things you need to do for the semester exam. We are already looking at the digital portfolio introduction. There's also a sample portfolio review that you'll be completing shortly. There are some digital portfolio examples, as well as other assessments that you'll be handing in with your digital portfolio. When you click into the Digital Portfolio Introduction module, you can see the video that I'm referencing here, as well as the learning target. Students will showcase their mastery of course outcomes through a digital portfolio creation in Google Sites. As we continue to scroll through, you can also see there are art department standards, things such as showing voice, problem solving, taking risks, experimenting, collaborating with peers and teachers, making a game plan, learning to see, and striving for mastery. As you continue to scroll through the module, you can see there are some other resources. Things like the design process outcomes, digital portfolio checklist, digital portfolio template, and Google Site creation tutorial video. There are also sample portfolios in this module and others to show you what you need to be creating. As we click into the design process outcomes link, what you'll see is a rubric that talks about the design process outcomes. You will need to make a copy of this document and select 3 to 5 outcomes that also fall in line with the Visual Art Department Power Standards, and you will create a reflection for the standards that you pick. You will then copy and paste what you've written in your reflection in your digital portfolio before you submit the portfolio as a URL in the submission module for the unit you are in. As you can also see, there are different units listed for each class that you may be taking. What you can see in the rubric is that there are unit names. Those unit names should actually be things like composition, or hands and feet, or piercing and cutting in enamel. Then, once you've selected whichever standard you're going to reflect on, you can select from the proficiency scale how you feel you did, and then you'll be writing a reflection as to why you think you did that. Additionally, you should be able to see the Art Department Power Standards highlighted in blue in this document. Next, we're going to look at the digital portfolio checklist. What you can see is a link to the digital portfolio template that I will show you in a moment. If you continue to scroll through the checklist, what you'll see for whichever class that you are taking is a list of the different units and other items that are required for your digital portfolio. Things such as reflecting on a resource artist and reflecting on the design process outcomes that we had just talked about. You need to notice that you also will have to show in-process photos and final images of the work that you've done for class. Additionally, you need to use art vocabulary from the units and make sure that they are bolded or highlighted so that they are easy to distinguish. There's also a biography page that you'll need to add, and possibly work from other classes if you have any. Now we're going to go into the digital portfolio template. You should have already seen that there is a link to that in the digital portfolio checklist, but here you can actually see what the template looks like. You should be putting your name and digital portfolio in the top left navigation bar. You also need to list the class and the school year, as well as the class name and the different activities that are completed in that class. As you can see, we are in the Art Medal page. What you'll notice is there's a list for what the different units are, and there are questions that you should answer in each unit. You also need to include a final image of your project as well as process images. And as we continue to scroll through, you can see that you're going to have to analyze the design process rubric and copy and paste those analyses into that portion, as well as compare your work with an image of a resource artist's work. So you will compare and contrast the work of a resource artist against the work that you've created for the unit. You can see that there'll be questions and the same process for each unit that we complete. As we go through here, what you'll also notice is that when there is a project that is not a final piece, but it is a sample of what we're doing. So the solder samples here have questions you do have to answer, as well as process images, so that you can see the beginning of the process and what it looks like when it's finished. But what you'll notice at the end is that there is no resource artist comparison, even though you still do have to compare your work with that design process rubric. Again, that's because those are sample items. You can also click on the Google Site Creation video. I'm not going to do that right now because I just talked about the template, but you can create your own Google site if you would like. There is one digital portfolio example in the bottom of this module that you can look at. In addition, when you click into the next module to complete the sample portfolio review, what you'll notice is that there is a portfolio review document that you have to make a copy of and complete, and then also the design process outcomes that you should be reflecting on inside that module. As we continue to scroll down, you'll see a number of different examples of portfolios that you can use to compare whether or not the student met the requirements in the checklist. You will be submitting the digital portfolio review as a credit for this assignment. When we click into that, you'll see that there is a portfolio being reviewed. That is what you should paste as a link here, and then your name so that your instructor knows which student completed this form. As you're completing the digital portfolio, you should notice that the items in the portfolio review are the same as those that were in the checklist. You should be including all of the different items in order to obtain the highest grade possible for the digital portfolio each time you submit a unit. Also, please notice that if you already have a portfolio, you can review your own, but you need to make sure to go through the list and actually see whether or not you have all of the items that are necessary for obtaining a very high grade. Going through this document and checking off what you do or don't have in your portfolio will help you improve the quality of your portfolio if you've already completed one. It's easiest to complete the portfolio review if you have the portfolio review as a split screen with the portfolio you're trying to look at so that you can see if all of the elements are included. To submit the portfolio review, you'll have to make sure that you have shared your document with Nicolet High School. Your new copy will be restricted, so you have to make sure that anyone from Nicolet can see the work that you've done. Once you have created a document that is shared with the appropriate people, you can copy the URL, which is the web address in this portion of the screen, and you will go back to the sample portfolio review and then actually submit your work. Again, you'll be putting the URL in the box here and submitting assignment. When you do that, you should be getting confetti for completing the work. Now you're ready to go and create your own portfolio.